myself, All Things Doctor Who, or Aaron, whatever you want to call me, is doing the second Doctor. My favourite Doctor, and I've just got to say, this list was hard because honestly, I love the second Doctor. His era is my favourite. Honestly, I love so many of his episodes. There's only some I don't really like, and their episodes weren't really bad, to be honest, because there's always something good in each episode. So today, this list is going to be my favourite 5 episodes for the second Doctor, as well as some honourable mentions. So, let's get on to this. The first episode I thought I'd have to talk about today is The Power of the Daleks. Now, The Power of the Daleks is Patrick Troughton's first ever outing as the Doctor, and unfortunately the original footage for this episode is missing. While all of it and a majority of it is missing, we only have a few clips, as well as a trailer to promote this episode back in the day. So the BBC animated this episode a year ago, or whenever, I can't really remember when, and this is what we had. So we have an animation of The Power of the Daleks, and I've reviewed the story in its entirety on my channel, so I'll put a link below for that if you're actually interested in seeing what that's like. But for now on, The Power of the Daleks, I love this story. Personally, for a really short review, the Daleks are manipulative and at their best. Patrick Troughton's amazing. Ben and Polly are just brilliant, and it's just Patrick Troughton's one of his best Dalek stories, as well as one of the best Dalek stories of all time. So, let's get rid of this. The episode I have to talk about is The Enemy of the World. Now, this story back in 2013 was presumed missing until at that time we only had one episode, and I think it was episode 3, episode 2, and the majority of that episode was just set in a kitchen. But luckily enough, all 6 episodes of this amazing serial was found, because honestly this guy was such an underrated gem back then, and now it's found. Now we've got the original footage to go with everything that happens. People love this story, including myself, and this story is utterly brilliant. This story is about the salamander and the Doctor, as they both look alike, as Patrick Troughton portrays 2 characters, the Doctor and the villain, and he does it fantastically, as basically an evil dictator trying to destroy the world, and as you can guess what the Doctor's got to do to save the day. So this episode for me is utterly brilliant. The acting is superb, and everything about it is fantastic, and same with all 6 episodes of this serial is amazing, because guys, I've tried to listen to audio to this, and imagine if we didn't have this footage, and you cannot really imagine the story without the footage, because it's a very visual episode, and I'm so happy if any episode is found, it was The Enemy of the World. So, that is my number 2. Let's move on. Next, we have The Web of Fear. Now, this story, again, was recovered back in 2013, and this is a missing serial, with only one episode missing from this episode, and that is episode 3. So I've reviewed The Web of Fear on my channel. I'll put a link below in the description for that, as well as the Abominable Snowman, as also I've done like a pairing review since they're both Yeti stories. But The Web of Fear, for me, I'm so happy it's returned, kind of. Because honestly, I love the Yeti. The Yeti are my favourite classic villain, and Patrick Troughton my favourite classic Doctor, so seeing them together is fantastic. This is one of the most creepiest episodes I've ever seen, as well as darkest, and the great intelligence are utterly brilliant in the story. And this episode also introduces the character of Brigadier Lethbridge Stewart, or Colonel Lethbridge Stewart, for this serial. And also have some amazing side characters such as Professor Travis and his daughter, who is a great female lead. So obviously guys, this story is mysterious, creepy, and if you're going to watch any story, watch this one. And for Reconstruction episode 3, I recommend buying the soundtrack for only 60p, as it's incredibly cheap online right now, or watch the Loose Cannon Reconstruction, as it's a lot better than the one in here. So, second to last on my list, we have Fury from the Deep is unfortunately a completely missing serial, and it's quite sad because honestly this serial, I love this serial. It is the first use of a sonic screwdriver. Patrick Trougton, Victoria Waterfield and Fraser Hines are all fantastic. Honestly, it's such a shame it's missing because they only have one scene available to tell us what this serial would have been like if we had its original footage. I have to applaud Fury from the Deep just for the fact that even watching reconstructions and listening to audio, it's still scary, and in a way I think it makes it even scarier because this can leave up to our imaginations to what these seaweed creatures would have looked like. And honestly guys, honestly, it's great. I can't say any more about the story because there's so many twists and turns gone on the story, some great moments that unfortunately I wish were on footage, but unfortunately they're not. So Fury from the Deep is my number 4. Now we are on the last one. But before we get into the 5th favourite story of mine that I have to talk about, we're going to talk about some honourable mentions. So the first one I have to talk about is The Moon Base. Now this, guys, is such a great story, and the reason I didn't put it on my list was because honestly it's, as I said before at the start of the video, it's so hard to pick my favourite Patrick Trougton story. And unfortunately I feel like some stories have more going on, but this story is one of the creepiest I've ever seen. It has some of the best Cybermen, some of the best performances. Fraser Hines is fantastic, and it's just a fantastic all-around Cyberman story that can actually scare me today. Now, the next honourable mention I have is The Abominable Snowman. Now, this story is the first story for the Yeti series, and I've reviewed the story in its entirety on my channel, so I'll put a link below in the description. But this story, guys, is the first outing for the Yeti, and unfortunately it's missing. We only have one episode, and that is episode 2, and a very good episode, I have to say. But this is one of my favourites, and the only reason I really didn't put it on my list was because the Weatherfear was found, and again, that's another one of my favourites. So there's more to talk about, but this story, it's got some fantastic location work for things that have survived about it. Pat is fantastic, the Yeti are genuinely scary, and it's just an all-round fantastic episode. The Mind Robber. Now, The Mind Robber is probably the second Patrick Trougton story I really watched. This story, honestly, it's such a mind-warp story. This story is crazy, it's mind-boggling, it's such a fancy-ass story, and just to prove Stephen Moffat wrong when he said it's the first time we had a superhero in Doctor Who with Return of Dr. Mysterio, wrong! We had a superhero in The Mind Robber, and it worked. I'm not saying it didn't work in Dr. Mysterio, because it kind of did, and I liked what they did with that. But The Mind Robber, well, did it a bit better. The last honourable mention I have to talk about is The Invasion. Guys, this story is a Cybermen classic, epic character piece, and the reason I really didn't put it on my list was because, again, I think there's other stories, very important stories that I have to really talk about, but this story is still absolutely brilliant. The Cybermen are great, and them Cybermen were even mentioned in Death in Heaven. Guys, The Invasion has some fantastic side characters, and many scenes like from The Invasion are referenced to the new series, so that really shows how important this story is. But I love this story, and the only really complaint I'll have to say about it is I wish there was more Cybermen in it, because honestly, spoiler right now, it really takes 4 parts to see the Cybermen, but I'm not really complaining because we have some great character pieces and dialogues that I cannot love even more than I am right now. So this is The Invasion. Now, the number 5 episode I absolutely love is The War Games, guys. War Games is an epic 10-part episode, Patrick Troughton's final episode, and I don't really want to talk about the plot because there's so many plot twists in this 10-part epic that I'll just ruin the experience for you if I actually did. But all you need to know is the Doctor lands on World War II, or did he? And games are happening. That's all I'm going to say. I'll let your imagination go to this if you've not seen it. And if you have seen it, you know what I mean. But War Games is an epic story, and I love this story. I watched all 10 episodes in one go in about 2 weeks ago with my friend, and he really liked it, but personally for me, I love this story. The plot is fantastic. This episode also introduces another Time Lord, right after the Meddling Monk with the Time Meddler. But this story also introduces the Time Lords into Doctor Who canon. And guys, I just can't really praise the story as much anymore. It's epic. It's one of the best regeneration stories of all time. It builds us up perfectly, and Patrick Troughton's regeneration, it's just so memorable, and oh my god, it made me giddy! Oh god, I just said that. So guys, my 5th favourite story, well, not just any, but my number 5 is for War Games. That was my top 5 Patrick Troughton episodes, along with some honourable mentions. Now guys, this list was hard to do because I love Patrick Troughton. He's my ultimate favourite Doctor, and I love all his episodes. There are some I think are okay, a bit disappointing, such as the Crotons or the actual Dominators, but apart from that, I love his era. I love his missing episodes because I've heard them so many times. I could probably talk about his missing episodes in a whole video. But for now on, that's my list. Now, the next one we're going to be having is the Doctor Years for the third Doctor. Now, that'll be uploaded next Thursday, and it's going to be every Thursday that these are going to be uploaded. So, look forward to that. So, guys, thank you very much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this list, and I will see you all later. See ya.